The streets of Los Angeles in the 1980s were a crucible of violence and desperation. Amidst this chaos, a group of Salvadoran immigrants formed what would become one of the most notorious criminal organizations in American history, Mara Salvatrucha, or MS-13. Born from the ashes of civil war and fueled by a desire for protection and belonging, MS-13 quickly evolved from a local street gang into a transnational criminal enterprise. Their rise to infamy was as swift as it was brutal, leaving a trail of violence that stretched from the barrios of Los Angeles to the suburbs of Washington, D.C. The origins of MS-13 can be traced back to the Salvadoran Civil War, which raged from 1979 to 1992. As thousands fled the conflict, many found themselves in the impoverished neighborhoods of Los Angeles. These young immigrants, often traumatized and isolated, banded together for protection against existing gangs and to preserve their cultural identity. What began as a loose association of Salvadoran youths soon transformed into a highly organized criminal network. MS-13's early activities centered around petty crimes and turf wars with rival gangs. However, as their numbers grew and their influence expanded, so did the scope and severity of their criminal endeavors. The 1990s saw MS-13 spread beyond the confines of Los Angeles. As members were deported back to El Salvador, they exported their gang culture, establishing new chapters across Central America. Simultaneously, the gang expanded its reach within the United States, setting up cliques in cities across the country. MS-13's reputation for extreme violence became their calling card. Brutal murders, often involving machetes, their weapon of choice, struck fear into the hearts of communities and rival gangs alike. Their motto, Mata, Viola, Controla, kill, rape, control, was not just empty words, but a chilling reality for those who crossed their path. By the early 2000s, MS-13 had become a national security concern. Their involvement in drug trafficking, human smuggling, and extortion caught the attention of federal law enforcement. In 2004, the FBI created a task force dedicated to combating the gang, marking the beginning of a concerted effort to dismantle MS-13's operations. However, the gang's decentralized structure and international presence made it a challenging target. Each clique operated with a degree of autonomy, making it difficult for law enforcement to strike at the heart of the organization. Moreover, MS-13's ability to recruit young, vulnerable individuals ensured a constant influx of new members. The gang's influence reached its peak in the mid-2000s. With an estimated 10,000 members in the United States and tens of thousands more across Central America, MS-13 had become a transnational threat. Their criminal activities generated millions in illicit profits, while their violence terrorized communities on both sides of the border. Yet as MS-13's power grew, so did the efforts to combat them. Increased law enforcement pressure, both in the United States and El Salvador, began to take its toll. High-profile arrests and successful prosecutions slowly chipped away at the gang's leadership and operational capabilities. The turning point came in 2012 when the U.S. Treasury Department designated MS-13 as a transnational criminal organization. This classification gave law enforcement agencies new tools to target the gang's financial operations and international networks. Simultaneously, enhanced cooperation between U.S. and Central American authorities led to more effective cross-border operations against the gang. As the 2010s progressed, MS-13's grip on power began to loosen. Improved community outreach programs and gang intervention strategies helped stem the flow of new recruits. Meanwhile, sustained law enforcement pressure continued to disrupt the gang's operations and leadership structure. Today, while MS-13 remains a serious threat in certain areas, its influence has significantly diminished from its peak. The gang's membership has declined, and its ability to operate with impunity has been severely curtailed. However, the legacy of fear and violence left by MS-13 continues to cast a long shadow over the communities they once dominated.